Since the release of the OnePlus Nord, it is pretty apparent that OnePlus wanted to shift their strategy and appeal to a wider range of audiences with the introduction to the new Nord lineup, the OnePlus Nord N10. The Nord N10 comes packed with tons of amazing features, like the new chip from Qualcomm, a 90Hz display, and 5G, and it comes in just under $300 mark. Which begs the question, does it worth the price? Does it live to the expectation of OnePlus phone? This is OnePlus Nord N10. Just one step down from its bigger brother, the Nord N10 is a more affordable version within the Nord lineup. It ticks all the boxes for things you need to have for a decent smartphone. It has a Full HD 6.49-inch screen with 90Hz refresh rate, a Snapdragon 690, 6GB of RAM, 128GB of storage, and a 4300 mAh battery. The back of the phone is actually plastic, and it isn't really a bad thing. They're cheap, strong, and very lightweight. Well, yeah, sure, it doesn't look or feel as premium as any flagship model, but this is not a flagship phone, and it wasn't meant to be one. The back feels very shiny, just like every smartphone in 2020, and it catches fingerprint pretty easily as well, so you might want to grab a case if you want to keep that back nice and clean. On the left side, we can see the volume rocker, and above is the hybrid SIM tray with, you guessed it, the expandable storage for up to 512GB, which is pretty awesome. On the right side is a standard power button. However, the alert slider is nowhere to be found on this phone. This is probably the first set of smartphones from OnePlus that doesn't include their signature alert slider. Moving on to the bottom, we can see a pretty standard USB Type-C port, and on the left is the good old 3.5mm audio jack and a microphone. With a loudspeaker on the right, the N10 features a stereo speaker system, which is pretty rare for a phone this price. The sound is quite loud and reasonably clear, and it's even better than the more premium original Nord. The screen is far from top-of-the-line AMOLED display, but it's not where OnePlus totally sheeped out on this phone. The 6.49-inch screen with 90Hz refresh rate is one decent LCD screen with a very nice and vibrant color. The color accuracy is pretty good, although not at the iPhone's LCD panel level. At this price, many phones that has LCD screen tends to have that purplish shift whenever displaying with white color. But that is not the problem on the N10. The viewing angle is pretty decent as well. The screen can get pretty bright and still usable in sunlight. The 90Hz refresh rate on this phone is what I would consider an above average for its price range. High refresh rate really helps smooth things out when scrolling around and browsing the web. Together with the Snapdragon 690 paired with 6GB of RAM and OxygenOS as a cherry on top, gives the Nord N10 a pretty smooth and snappy Android experience, ranging from day-to-day tasks to extensive usage and multimedia consumptions. As you would expect from a OnePlus phone, the overall smooth experience has a lot to do with the OxygenOS. OnePlus really took it up a notch and optimized the OS that was originally meant to run on flagship devices to be able to run on the mid-range devices with minimum to none performance drop. At the core of this phone is Qualcomm Snapdragon 690, the latest mid-range chipset that has the performance that is nearly comparable to the Snapdragon 765 on the vanilla Nord. The N10 flies through game as the 765 did. It even managed to play a graphics-intensive game on the highest settings and still achieve consistent FPS during the gameplay. Another area where this phone really performs well is the 5G. The phone has an excellent 5G connection throughout the time I've used, and the speed is phenomenal. The Nord N10 is undoubtedly a fast phone, but when compared to its bigger brother, the phone is just a heartbeat slower, like really heartbeat slower. So it performs really well for the price they offer. Now, let's talk about the battery. The N10 comes with 4,300 mAh battery. It can go through a full day of usage with 5G turned on, plus some gaming. And at the end of the day, I usually end up with 10 to 20% of battery left. And there's no need to worry about the charging because there's Warp Charge 30T charger included, which can charge the phone from 0 to 70% in just half an hour. The N10 is equipped with a quad camera setup. This includes a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel monochrome, with the addition of 16 megapixel front-facing camera. While OnePlus had never been known to have the best camera quality, but they've gotten better every year. However, the N10 is on the more budget-friendly side, so as soon as I opened the camera app, I could tell right away that the images from this camera are not at the level of its flagship counterparts. It shoots decently crisp and vibrant photos under good lighting conditions. The dynamic range can be a bit dull from time to time, and there's a lot of soft filtering effects from the photo. But overall, it is a pretty decent set of camera, and it gets the job done just how it should. One thing about the camera that impresses me the most is probably the monochrome lens. This monochrome lens helped create a very punchy black and white photo that really stands out. The dynamic range on this black and white camera is really nice. Regarding the low light photos, the N10 didn't really perform well under bad lighting conditions. But turning the night mode on can really help reduce the noise and collect more details. Video-wise, the main camera can capture up to 4K 30 frames and Full HD at 30 frames for the front-facing camera. The video quality is quite soft, lacking detail, and it has a pretty mediocre dynamic range. OnePlus Nord N10 is a pretty good choice for a smartphone with the $300 mark. It features all the things you need in a decent smartphone. However, as a OnePlus phone, we as a consumer expect so much more from a piece of tech with this logo on the back. It is no doubt an amazing phone, but it's far from an amazing OnePlus phone. But considering the price, you're getting for what you've paid for, and you can't really complain much about it. So, if you're looking for a smartphone for everyday usage that has 5G, decent camera, decent specs and build quality, you might want to give OnePlus Nord N10 5G a try. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up if you liked the review, subscribe and click on the notification bell to receive more great content in the future. See you guys next time. Stay safe.